Hey guys, Juju22 here, and finally we got the feedback. I mean, we lost the feed, and as a result, we lost the end result of the match before this one. It ended in a no contest, so unfortunately, most of the feuds went unresolved, except for the one between Paul Levine and Ten. Levine wins the feud 3-1. Thus ending the feud between them and proving that Levine is indeed the better man. But we now move on to the next match, and it is for the television championship. And let me go out of character for a little bit, okay? Yes, I know it's called the Classic Intercontinental Championship, but just go along with it, okay? Alright, back in character now. Okay, so now we have the champion, the Great Khali, going up against the challenger, John Cena, who won the right to face whomever he wanted. I mean, he could have chosen anybody else, but he chose to fight the Great Khali. And these two are no strangers to each other. In fact, they started out as enemies, but they would later become best of friends. But make no mistake about it, when there's a championship on the line and they're against each other, you would think that they would be rivals, but they're good friends outside of the ring. But aside from that, let's begin. Alright, we're off. And already, the Great Khali starts off with a bull rush on a John Cena. I mean, just before this match began, I mean, we had to really clean up the blood that was left behind by not only Jake the Snake, but also Cody Rhodes, the Joker, and Joey Adams, because it pretty much ended in a Pier 6 brawl, especially with steel chairs getting involved. And, you know, it took many officials from the back, as well as a few wrestlers not involved in the feuds whatsoever, you know, just to stop the match and to stop the bloodshed from continuing. But it's just too bad that we lost the feed, because I really would have wanted to show that to you. I really did. But you know, it just, you know, things like that happen, and you just have to make the best with it. I'm just happy that it wasn't the main event, because that would have sucked if it was. Anyway, we now have John Cena getting tossed around by the Great Khali. Now, as far as the Great Khali is concerned, the last time we saw him was the video entitled David versus Goliath, and obviously the Great Khali was Goliath. The part of David was played by Cody Rhodes. Well, now it looks as if John Cena is going to play the role of David, especially if he wants to slay the Great Khali. And as for the Great Khali, the one thing he wants out of this is redemption by beating John Cena. I mean, John Cena not too long ago was the WWE champion until he was defeated by Joey Adams, though at the time under very controversial circumstances at the time. A back suplex onto the Great Khali. And then a shoulder arm breaker onto the Great Khali's left arm. And John Cena going for the body. You know, just like a boxer would. I mean, you don't want to just go for the head, you want to go for the body, because it'll weaken it'll definitely weaken your opponent enough for them not to be able to get up that quickly, as the Great Khali just did when he got knocked down by a clothesline by John Cena. And now John Cena whipped into the other corner. Whipped again in the corner. And rammed shoulder first into the post was John Cena. Oh, but the Great Khali is keeping him in the corner. I guess it's part of his master plan. Although John Cena just went for the legs. And a throwback. That's the reverse bulldog that John Cena just did, he calls that the throwback. Also, I should also mention that falls do count anywhere, whether it's inside the ring or outside of it. What else? Oh, and there's no time limit, so this match will last as long as it needs to until there's a winner. And then a fist drop onto the Great Khali. And a neck snap, shades of Mr. Perfect. Although the Great Khali got up though with his big legs and just shoved off John Cena. And whipped into the turnbuckle was the Great Khali. Oh, but the Great Khali actually gets out of the corner and delivers yet another bull rush onto John Cena. And now the Great Khali just pulling the hamstrings of John Cena to try to weaken the legs. And without those legs, I mean, John Cena's not going to be able to do any powerlifting, because that's really, the source of his power. Because we've seen John Cena pick up men twice as big as he is. Especially the Big Show. And he has, lifted the Great Khali once before, or several times before, actually. Whipped into the ropes. Nope. And then a headbutt right to the shoulder of John Cena. And a side headlock takedown onto the Great Khali. A snapmare, and then a fist drop onto the Great Khali. A kick and a punch right to the left arm of John Cena. I mean, so far the match has taken place inside the ring, which is probably the safest place inside the Hell in a Cell. And another kick and another punch right to the left arm of John Cena. But John Cena counters with a clothesline onto the Great Khali. And yet another kick and another punch. He's really trying to go after the left arm of John Cena. But John Cena counters. And a drop toe hold facebuster onto the Great Khali. One. No. Kick out at one by the Great Khali. And, he's got him! The attitude adjustment onto the Great Khali. One. No! Kick out at one by the Great Khali. I guess it's going to take more than that to beat the Great Khali. And, Khali bomb onto John Cena. One. No! Kick out by John Cena at one. All but a counter by the Great Khali with that sidewalk slam onto John Cena. I tell you one thing, the fans are going nuts here. Oh no, wait a minute. Small package. One. Two. No, kick out by the Great Khali. That was very close. And a couple of jabs by the Great Khali. Arm wringer flip, and then a leg drop onto the left arm of John Cena. And now the Great Khali is going to try to soften up the arm again. And a hammerlock onto John Cena. And another bull rush onto John Cena. And a facebuster onto John Cena. Uh-oh, a camel clutch. Shades of the Iron Sheik onto John Cena. And John Cena is in a bad situation. And unless he's able to get out of this, I don't see any way he can, however. Yep, John Cena quit. He just could not take any more punishment. I mean, the spirit was willing, but the body was not able. And the winner, and still, the television champion, the Great Khali. So the Great Khali retains his championship, and John Cena gave it a valiant effort, but it was not enough against the Great Khali. And for the Great Khali, a victory over John Cena definitely helps him on the road to redemption, especially after losing to Cody Rhodes, a match that most people thought he should have won when the United States Championship was on the line. Anyways, stay tuned. We got a few more matches coming up, and they are coming up right after this.